to move on to the second part of this particular show. I mean, I'm also cutting into time. I'm supposed to be at Newlands to actually watch the second game that is currently there. I'm going to be leaving very soon to go there, but I want to get into this test squad. I think that's the way we need to be. I think that's what we need to look at. I do have the press release available for you guys, so I'm going to read it out to you so that you guys can also join me in the conversation while I'm reading it. I think it's very important to give you some insight into what happened and why they selected and who they selected, etc., etc., etc. So let's get straight into it. I'll read you the press release. So first and foremost, we've gone with the only Dezorzi being called up because this is maiden call up, and then Temba named as test captain. Very important that, guys. Dean Alga is not the captain anymore. So Tony Dezorzi has received his maiden test call-up, while Ryan Rickleton, Senator Mutasambi, Aidan Markram, and Vian Mulder have been recalled for the West Indies series. A major shuffle in the test squad saw the omission of Tianis de Bruin, now retired, Sarel Ewe, Rassie van der Dussen, and Lungi Ngidi. The captaincy of the test squad has also been handed to Temba Bavuma. The 32-year-old will replace Dean Alga at the helm of the Red Bull format and will continue to lead the one-day international side. He has, however, relinquished the T20 international captaincy with a new leader of that team to be named as part of the White Ball squad to face the West Indies next month. That is something that nobody actually thought was going to happen, and Temba did it. So I want you guys to please change your mind on what you and all those things that you said about Temba, that he doesn't care and he's being selfish, because him giving up that captaincy is for the future of the team. Bavuma's first assignment will be to lead the 50-man squad in the two Betway Test series against the West Indies from 28th February till the 12th of March in Centurion and Johannesburg. I'm going to try my best to get there, guys, so that I can cover it from the grounds. Alga, meanwhile, remains available to play for the Proteas after captaining them in 15 tests during a near 2-year reign. Cricket South Africa would like to welcome Temba as the new captain of the Proteas men's national team. Commented Director of Cricket, DOC Enoch Inkwe. He is a player that has vast experience, captaincy experience, both at domestic level and on the international stage, having led both the ODI and T20I teams since March 2021 when he was appointed. We trust he will deliver on all expectations and help carry the team forward after some excellent work by his predecessor, Dean, during the same period. At the same time, I would like to sincerely thank Dean for all his commitment to the role over the past 2 years. He helped the team navigate through some stormy waters and put them in a good position on the ICC World Test Championship table. Both men have made us proud with the work they have done within the wider Proteas group, and I look forward to the next step in what is a new era for the Proteas under the leadership of dual coaches Shukri and Rob Walter. As part of the restructuring, the DOC also confirmed that CSA was currently reviewing the National Selecting Committee procedures, and he decided to release Victor Mpasang of his role as National Convener of Selectors. The current interim structure will see the head coaches of the respective teams playing a leading role in squad selection going forward. That is a massive, massive, massive thing that they are doing there. We also felt that this was an opportune time to reassess the selection team and have decided to make some changes that we expect will help us with planning a bit in future. Inkwe explained. In this regard, we thank Victor for the time he has invested with the national team over the last few years and wish him well for the future. So that's what the press release had to say. Now I'm going to show you guys what the squad looks like. I've put a little graphic together. I hope all the names are right. But this is the team that was selected for the Windies tour. Okay, so we got Temba Bavuma as captain, and in the batting department, Dean Alga, Aidan Markram, Keegan Peterson, Tony Dezorzi, Ryan Rickleton, and Heinrich Klaassen. Then in the all-rounders positions, we got Marco Jansen, Vian Mulder. And then in the seamers positions, we got Kagiso Rabada, Gerald Kutsia, and Annik Nokia. And spinning department, we got Simon Armour, Keshav Maharaj, and Senaran Mutasami. So I'd like to know what you guys think. Let me start there. While I'm just discussing different things on this, I mean, I'm pretty happy with the squad. I think that the whole Lungi Ngidi situation is a bit tough on me. I'm a big fan of Lungi Ngidi. I love what he produces. I love what he brings to the table, his variations, etc. But I'm not very upset about it, seeing that the wickets at the Wanderers, for example, have been spinning quite a lot in recent times. We saw in the SA20. So I think that's the thought process and bringing in another spinner, but also a spinner that can bat. Senaran Mutasami has batted really well over the last couple of years in different formats. In a struggling Northwest side, he has put on performances as well. Also got picked up in the SA20. So it's a good person to have in the squad. But I do feel sad for two players particularly, and that is really Cal Verreynne, someone that I really tried to. I wish I could have done something maybe to get him to keep his spot. I believe that he's a brilliant player, and I believe that he's a type of player that performs under pressure when the chips are down, when you're down 4 or 5, and he comes in. He kind of turns games around. He hasn't had the best of starts to his four-day campaign now recently, but and hasn't played at all in the SA20 either. But I do feel that he is a future player of South African cricket, and I hope that he can bounce back. I hope he goes back to domestic cricket, puts out the numbers, and bounces back. I'm a big fan of his, and I wish him all the best for the domestic season. And I'm also sad about Lungingidi not being selected in the side. But a lot of youngsters in the team, a lot of youngsters in the squad. It's a fresh, new team. So it's very interesting to see this. Let's see some of the comments from you guys about this particular test squad. The best news coming out of the day, Victor and Pat both being sacked. Bold moves from Shooks in terms of selection. Big names left out, i.e. Ngidi. Feel for Kyle, Guess Klassen, and Rix are ahead of him at the moment. I'm not sure about Patrick Maroney at this moment in time. I didn't see anything in the press release about him being sacked. It's only Victor Pesang that I've heard that has been sacked so far. So I'm not sure if what Patrick's situation is. I'll try to find out more information over there to see. Khalid, where should Aiden play in test? Hope they're not going to Aiden open because he is now settled in middle order batter, so he should bat at 4. I think he should open with Dean Algo. That's my opinion on it, and I think that's where Shukri will probably play him as well. Why is Verreynne dropped? I mean, from what I know, I think it's got a lot to do with the way Shukri wants to play cricket. He wants to play a more attacking brand of cricket, and he wants to play wants to obviously have a keeper batter that can maybe push the game forward a lot faster than Kyle does. But I still think Kyle, it's very unfair. It's not unlucky to miss out on the test squad and to be dropped. I mean, he hasn't had like a stable transition into test cricket. He's scored hundreds, and he's been so a couple of 50s and 100, and he's looked good on occasions. But there has been times when he's also been caught, or his technique has been caught wanting as well. So to an extent, I can understand if the direction they want to go is more attacking, but I feel it's a little bit harsh on Calverine to have missed out on his spot. You guys know what a big fan I am of him. I would have taken Linda ahead of Senaran if they wanted a spinner who bats, because he's the best in the country in that regard. Calverine has been so good for us. He is the future, says Tabo. Aditya thinks that TDZ, Alga, Aiden, KP, Klassen, that should be the order. What I think they'll do is I think they'll go with Dean and Aiden. I think at 3 they'll play Tony DeZorzi. At 4, I think they'll go with TEMBA BAVUMA. At 5, I think they'll go with KP. At 6, I think they'll go with Klassen. And then at 7, I think they'll go maybe with Marco Janssen. And then at 8, am I missing someone, guys? And then at 8, I think they'll go with obviously the bowlers and then etc. Dependable on which spinner they're going to play. Harley, do you think the second of Victor Musang shows the character of Enoch Nkwe as DOC? I've told you guys from the start that I believe in Enoch's plan. I believe in Enoch's vision, and I think he's the right man for DOC. He understands every single structure in South African cricket. He's been there as a player, and he's been there as a coach. He's been there as a youth coach. He's seen every single level of cricket in South Africa. Go back to those interviews that I've had with Enoch in the past, when he was assistant coach and when he was DOC. You'll get to understand how he thinks about the game moving forward. So go back and watch those exclusives, guys. Next time, please have a conversation with Aiden. I've had a chat with Aiden. I've messaged him and asked him to have a chat with him because I really would like to catch up with him after the SA20. He said he has a busy schedule at the moment. He will let me know when we can do so. I'll probably have to go through CSA to obviously get that approved. But we will try to get Markram as soon as possible. Didn't Shukri confirm that Markram will open with Alga and that Klaassen will keep? That's what I heard. Okay, cool, guys. Let's get into that. I do have it for you. I have the press conference with me, not the video. We're still waiting for the video to be released, but I have the audio file. So as we go through it, we can listen to it together and hear what people at what was said about in this press conference. So let's have a listen together, guys.
Thanks, Ken. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, just to answer your question, to be honest, it had nothing to do with trying to make up certain positions or leadership or whatsoever. The call was just clearly in terms of obviously the new direction that we're going as a team, as a system, and we all felt that it's the change in the leadership was needed, and this is the direction that we're actually taking. And felt strongly that obviously the best person to take us into this new chapter will be TEMBA himself, and obviously we see him also adapting to the playing philosophy. Coach Shukri has had a bit of time also to work with him during the ODI series, and so there's already that established relationship or a relationship that's been developed, from the two of them, and there's good synergy. And look, nothing. If you look at, if you go back to Dean Elgar himself, he's done a great job, through stormy times in South African cricket. He managed to get the team out of the position that they were in, and to put the team in a very good position in World Test Championship. But yes, we're not going to look obviously too far ahead of ourselves. At the end of the day, we like to thank Dean Elgar for the great job that he's done over the last sort of close to 2 years. And like I said,
who of them are injured?
Can I give you a point blank? Hello, everybody. Hello, Johan. Nobody is injured. We had a full complement to select from. So, yeah, everybody was fit and ready to go. And this is what we've come up with.
Thanks, Johan. Heinz, then Tiernus.
Hi, gentlemen. Thanks for your time.
That's interesting to know, guys. Sorry, I think I reconnected. To know that nobody was injured, so they picked from everybody that was available, which is very interesting to know as well. That he picked the squad based on everybody being available, and we haven't always had that luxury, because before players were picked and we weren't 100% sure whether it was because of injury or for whatever the reasons are. This time we've had a full strength squad. Everybody was fit, and this is the squad they selected. Let's continue with the audio.
With that revelation, I think it's a pretty exciting squad. I think many would agree, but one pretty fairly big omission is Lungi and Gidi. Just the reasoning behind that, perhaps.
Yeah, Hans, it's quite simple for me. I think Gerald Coetzee needs a good run. We all know the promise that Gerald holds, and I think now's as good a time as ever to unleash, for want of a better word, to unleash Gerald. So without giving too much away, I'd like to think that I'll be in a position to play all our quick bowlers in Centurion, and depending on what the Wanderers throws up, that starting 11 might change. So, yeah, it's purely Gerald ahead of Lungi for me right now, and yeah, that's why I've gone with Gerald.
Guys, that gives us a lot of insight into the squad. We know ourselves. We've seen it in the SA20 that the Wanderers is in the same wicket. We saw that with SEC versus PC in the final. It's not the same wicket that we are used to. We normally used to a fast wicket, pace and bounce, easy for boundary hitting, etc. But right now, that's why Shukri has went with regards to Senan Mutasami. I think that was the decision. Was it bringing in an extra spinner and then dropping Lungi? That it was a decision there. I think we're going to go with conditions a lot. I mean, Shukri's always pushed that. He's always pushed the fact that conditions are important, and you will select a team, select a squad according to the conditions that are at hand. So Gerald, obviously, he mentioned it, Centurion, and then because that has been pretty much what we expect from Centurion. It has been consistently good for teams, and especially fast bowlers. We saw Andrik Nokia was brilliant in Centurion for his team. So let's continue.
Thanks, Heinz. Tiernus?
Hi, my question is also to Shukri. Shukri, with that in mind, the games being played in the IFL, what was the thinking about including Senaran Mutusami and having 3 spinners in the squad?
That's a very good question, Tinas. For me, it's I'm old-fashioned in terms of a batting lineup. I want 7 batters, so I want to increase our all-rounder stocks. You'll see Bian Mulders included and all-round.
Bailey brothers, are you guys smiling right now? Because this is exactly what you've always asked for, the 7 batters.
Don't only have to be bowlers that bowl seam, they can also be guys that bowl spin. So I think in both Bian and in Sen, we get that balance. So depending on the makeup of our final 11, if I want to play 4 quicks because I think the wicket's going to be a certain way, it gives me the option to play Sen. If we think that we want to go a seamer light and we've got enough batting, then So we need to be quite fluid in how we navigate as well. I don't ever want us just to have a starting 11 and then whoever fits in. And that's something I'm going to encourage within our squad as well.
Brilliant.
Thanks, Tinnus. Zahir?
In terms of Victor no longer being around and greater responsibility for the coaches, we saw England going a certain way recently with Silverwood and then going back to a selection panel. How do you see it, all the accountability now with the coaches in terms of picking the teams?
Thanks, Harry. Yeah, good question. Yeah, look, to be honest, I've always believed that at the end of the day, I think the coach has more of a say in any selection and has even a better understanding of what is actually required, as long as it's in line with obviously the selection strategy, the bigger strategy of South African cricket or cricket South Africa, if I'm going to put it that way. So. And look, it is it is going to be in the interim phase, which is something that we want to trial. But I purely believe that the 2 coaches are the best positioned people, to really talk more about selection, about certain strategies, about which players will fit in better. And I mean, Shukri, he's been in our system for a long time, and he has a good understanding of the players in our system, whether inexperienced or experienced, and he understands the direction that we're all going. Same as Rob, who's been in our system before, and so yeah, I mean, I really have a lot of trust, a lot of belief in our 2 coaches, that they're going to be taking us in the right direction and ensuring that we build a bigger pool of players that we can actually choose from in all 3 formats. And like I said, I think at the end of the day, with them understanding the playing philosophy, understanding the bigger picture in South African cricket, I think it makes a lot of sense to have them to take that accountability. But yes, we are going to build obviously supporting structures from a selection sort of pipeline, to ensure that they have all the tools that are required, to pick the best team at the end of the day. So yeah.
Just is Pat Maroney still part of the panel, or is he also been relieved?
No, he's been relieved of the Proteas panel. So he'll still look after the South African 19. Obviously up until a certain point, up until we finalize almost like a permanent structure moving forward, which is still under review, and it will be finalized in after the series against Netherlands. So so at the moment that's his project, to look after the under 19s, obviously the emerging group, or within a high performance. But when it comes to the Proteas selection structure, Shukri and Rob are going to be leading that forward.
Wow.
together with their respective captains.
Wow, guys, that's a massive restructure that the two coaches are going to be involved with the selection. And we said it in the press release, but to hear it now from Enoch that both selectors are gone, it's a fresh new thing, like Lawrence said earlier on. And that's a massive statement to allow the coaches that full responsibility. I've always wanted that, actually. I wanted coaches to be involved with selection because they're the one that select the team. What's the point of a leader selector selecting a squad and then saying, here's the squad, oh, you guys just do whatever you can with the people that we give you? It shouldn't be like that. So I'm happy that that is the case. And that means that also Rob and Shukri will be involved with both squads. And that's a massive thing as well. So I think that the connection between the two of them is going to be massive for the future of South African cricket. And I think that's a brilliant move going forward, in my opinion.
Great. Thanks, Zahir. Telford?
Thanks, Lucy. How's it, Shukri? We could all see that TEMBA had a pretty bruising experience as captain at the T20 World Cup. And then he came back home, and it seems that some of the conversations that you and him had and the interactions you had a lot to do with him scoring that magnificent 100 in the ODI series. Are you hopeful? I mean, how hopeful are you of building on that relationship with him now as the Test captain, and how important do you think it is, your relationship with the captain?
Hi, Telford. Yeah, so look, I think before I get on to TEMBA, I need to just pay my respect to Dean as well. I think Enoch made the comment, but I think Dean's done an exceptional job over the last couple of years. And in my conversation with Dean, that's something that I made very clear. So this was pretty much my decision. I felt that TEMBA and I had a really good fit. And Dean's still going to play a huge part of our leadership group. So this doesn't make Dean a poor captain and TEMBA a good captain. But I just felt it was the right fit for me, and it was the right fit for us going forward. Yes, I think we've come a long way, TEMBA and I, and he knows pretty much how I want to do things, and I've got a pretty good understanding of how he wants to be involved and run things. So yes, our couple of days in Bloemfontein and Kimberley has gone a long way in ensuring that me just almost what's the word now? Consolidating the fact that TEMBA was going to be the captain. And hopefully, yes, his performances will keep shining. He's been a star performer for the Test side, and long may that continue. I think captaincy sits well with him, to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
Thanks, Telford. Before we go into the next round of follow-ups, I will just give Stu and Keenan an opportunity to ask a question before we lead back to Ken. So, Stu, over to you.
Thanks, Lucy. My question is for Enoch, and it's kind of not related to the Test side, but I see the IPL has announced its dates today. The tournament starting March 29.
Oh, no.
I know you were in negotiation to get, players freed up. Where is that situation now? Will all the contracted players be available for the 2 matches against the Dutch?
Oh yeah, thanks, Stu.
Good question.
Yeah, good question. And look, we're still in the process, in finalizing that. But we're quite positive that especially with the relationships that we have with BCCI and obviously IPL, and we're positive that we'll have those players because most of them will probably not. I haven't really looked at the final fixtures, obviously. Like you said, it was announced today, and now it's not in budget and that. So that's something that we're gonna look at, and at the end of the day, also we're gonna make sure that we work hard to make sure that the players are available for those 2 fixtures, because those are very important fixtures for us in qualifying automatically for the World Cup. So as soon as obviously that is confirmed, we'll inform everyone.
It's good that he said that, because it doesn't look like he's going to just roll over. He's going to try and get those players available, which is a very good thing. That I like to hear that from the DOC.
Thanks, Stu. Keenan?
Thanks, Lucy. My question's for Shukri. Hi, Shukri. Kyle Moreno's been dropped from the side, evidently. He was the top scorer, or the second top scorer in Australia recently. Can you just talk about that decision to omit him from the side and the thinking around that, and then who would be the backup keeper for Classy?
Hi, Keenan. Yeah, look, Kyle's omission was a tough one for all the reasons that you just mentioned there. Look, ultimately, at the end of the day, I get paid to make certain calls as well, and subjectivity plays a part. And this was my conversation with Kyle: is that he's done everything that can possibly expect it, but I think Classy's done more and deserves a full crack at it. So for me, Classy and Kyle compete for a wicketkeeper bat spot. Classy is, in my opinion, and a humble one, not just a batter that we can stick out in the field. He's been battling with the elbow and things like that because he's been forced to be out in the field for a lot of the time, and I've always viewed him as a wicketkeeper bat. So for me, it was a straight shootout as to who I want, and for me, it's Classy. And that's just unfortunate on someone like Kyle. You know, it's certainly not the door closed for him. And in the side, if we need a second team, look, the series is in South Africa, so you'd see a name Ryan Rickleton there as well, who can substitute as a keeper if need be. But being South Africa, and if there were any injuries, and especially to a keeper, we could always bring someone in. And the longest flight is 2 hours away.
Thank you.
Subjective.
Thanks. We'll look to go
So
for the
what I take from that is that is a subjective, because I feel that Shukri's worked with Klaasen in the past as a youngster, High Performance Academy, etc. There's a picture actually in one of our magazines where you'll see all the players that Shukri worked with at the High Performance Academy when he was in charge of that, when he was there as a high performance coach, so National Academy coach. So I think he picked Klaasen based on that, knowing Klaasen better. Klaasen and him have a good relationship. And this last season, I mean, Klaasen, the type of runs he scored, he went big. And he played a quite explosive style of cricket. And you can see the form he is in all formats. So as much as I'm sad about Kyle's omission, I don't not that I don't disagree with that. I disagree with it. I don't necessarily mind Klaasen being in the side because I feel that he can play an explosive brand of cricket that Shukri would like to play. Lawrence obviously saying finally we get a coach who backs Klaasen and 100% deserves a full crack at the opportunity. We know that he's a great big fan of.
On a follow-up, so we'll start with Ken, then Hines.
Thanks, Lucy. Shukri, for you. You've touched on Kyle Verreynne, which I think a lot of people will be surprised about. Sarah Levy's out, Kaya Zondo's out. You've brought back, so you've kept Klaasen, you've brought back Aiden Markram. It looks as if you're backing batsmen who are more stroke players, more kind of positive guys. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that won't be unfair to say, Ken. But yeah, look, Aiden Markram is always going to be one of those where people are either going to be fully behind him or people are always like he flatters to deceive. I'm in the former group. I'm fully behind him. Aiden's going to open the batting for us. I think he's a wonderful cricketer, and he is that stroke player you talk of. So yes, Aiden and I go back a long way. So I know the character, and I think that's a big thing for me as well. When we sit down with selection, is our selections and the type of cricket we want to play. We've got to match characters to that as well. And yes, I've come out and backed Aiden like that, and I can categorically say that he will emphatically say that he will be opening the batting with Dean.
There we go. I said that early on.
Thanks, Ken. Hines.
Just on your batting depth, Are you chuffed with the way, in the end, how you guys have sort of like managed the introduction of Tony De Zorzi? He's a guy who elicited a lot of attention, since he left school. But he's been allowed to abide his time. He had a very good SAA series against India A last season, and now he's backed it up, with some meaty runs, at domestic level. Are you just sort of like chuffed with the progression, the patience you guys have shown with him, and how he's responded to it?
Yeah, Heinz, 100%. And Tony is a former South African under-19 captain as well. And as you rightly say, he started off at the Titans. I watched his career through the university at Tux, through the Titans, and then he moved down to Cape Town, and his career's just gone in one direction, and it's gone north rather than south. And he's also someone that I identify as a future captain, a future leader of the side. So I'm really chuffed with the way Tony's gone about his business. The fact that he's come out and scored a mountain of runs in the domestic season is absolutely no surprise to me. And also, as you rightly mentioned, the A Tour, the A Series they had against India last year. So yeah, really chuffed for Tony, and I think he's going to play an integral part of our Proteas setup going forward.
Amazing.
Great, thanks. We're going to go tennis.
Quickly, you spoke now about Carl Verheyen, that it's only a flight away. But I was wondering, Rassie, Sarel, and Kaya, has it been communicated to them that there is a way back for them, or has it been communicated to them that they are no longer part of the plans going forward?
Peter, I don't think anybody is in a position to say that there's never a way back in. You can never say never. But a change had to be made, and I've made that change, and there's always a way in. And that was my conversation with the three players that you mentioned. And if your next question is, well, what must they do to come back in? That was also communicated. Obviously, scoring a mountain of runs or lots of runs at domestic level, and at a good strike rate. That for me is a critical as well. I think batters, if you want to play internationally, you've got to dominate domestically, not only with the amount of runs, but also the rate at which you score them. So that's been communicated to them clearly, and yeah, the door's always open for anyone. I don't think we're ever going to be in a position, or any coach worth his salt is ever going to turn his back on a player and say, well, that's the end of the road for you, until player decides that he's had enough, or performances warrant that he doesn't get selected again.
If I can just have a quick follow-up, if that's okay. You mentioned that scoring at a good rate. What in your mind is a good strike rate for red ball cricket and the direction that you want to take this team in?
160%. I'm only joking. Look, obviously, conditions determine that. Conditions at coastal venues are a lot different to the conditions at altitude. And I don't think you can attach a number to it where you say, right, you've got to be striking at 100% or 80% or 70%. I think the time, and if you look at where the modern day game has gone, and I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that we're going to jump on that bandwagon, but the number in the brackets has also become important, as important almost as the number before the in front of the brackets. But I feel, especially in domestic cricket, if you cannot be striking at a really good rate at domestic level, well, trust me, it's going to be a lot worse at international level.
Thank you, Shooks.
If I think at what potentially has been a problem in the past is that we've managed really well to bat ourselves into a hole because we actually don't challenge ourselves enough to be batting at good rates. So, but for me to attach a number, Tennis, I think that will be foolhardy of me.
Thanks, Tennis. We're going to take the last three questions, and we'll start with Kanyiso.
I love that he said it, and that I'm not crazy. Sometimes I think I'm a bit crazy with my thoughts and the way I approach the game and think about the game. If you can't do it at domestic level, how do you expect to do it at international level? That is mental. I mean, I always was like surprised by some selections because of that. We picked players that may be average, but they have problems at domestic cricket. That's clear to see for everybody. But then yet we expect them to be able to perform at international level. Doesn't make logical sense. I love that Shukri actually said that. It's actually something that we spoke about in our exclusive interview. So please, guys, go watch our exclusive interview with Shukri Conrad on Cricket Fanatics magazine in the features column. Exclusive interviews column. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Shukri, I think you'd be better placed to answer this question. Is it a case of the changes being made, a new page being opened from a South African cricketing a Test cricket perspective, considering that this set of West Indies games is the last one in the side in this particular World Test Championship cycle?
I think Enoch's better placed. I'm only joking. No, I don't think who we're playing and where the series sits has got anything to do with it. It's got to do with whom I believe, and in consultation with Enoch and the captain TEMBA, who we believe going forward. Yes, we want one eye on going forward. Because as you rightly say, or someone mentioned earlier, we don't have a lot of Test cricket this year. But we keep one eye on where we want to go. And also we've got to select who we believe is the best side to beat the West Indies. And I think we've done that. We've ticked boxes where we've got an eye on where we want to go. And any team that I put out, and we showed that in the one-day series against England, we've got to believe that they're good enough to beat the opposition. So, it's a little bit of everything there. Eye on the future and rewarding current performances and expecting certain performances from certain guys when they're at international level.
Thanks. We're going to go Zahir and then look to close off with Johan.
This is for you and also for Shuks afterwards. When you look at the squad, it's quite a few informed players that have done well in SA20, and we know it's a different format. But just what was your general take on the SA20? What did it mean for South African cricket and you watching how your players went?
Thanks, Zahir. Look, I mean, SA20 was spectacular. It was very, very successful. I know that, behind the scenes, didn't know how it's gonna look like in terms of the success and how it's gonna end. But I mean, the turnout has been exceptional. I mean, it's been the response, from the public, from stakeholders, from everybody involved in cricket, and the excitement that it actually brought. And that's something that for us, obviously, it just adds to the energy, the new direction that we're all going. And I must say that we must all thank people obviously on the ground that had like sleepless nights, that had to try and make the best out of this tournament, this league, to ensure that obviously it's very, very successful. And I mean, looking at the players, great platform to really express themselves. We had different individuals performing at different times, and that was actually good to see. I mean, Aiden. I know that there's been a lot of comments flying around, but to see him respond in the manner that he did as a leader, carrying the team, leading the team, through tough times, the way they started, throughout the tournament and the way they finished. I suppose, as a coach, you can never ask anything more than that. And but there's been so many players at different levels of experience. Some most experienced, and some in the middle, some least experienced, and just the way they play the game and the excitement, the hope and belief that they brought into the South African landscape. And that's for us. There's a lot of positives that we can take moving forward, and I have no doubt moving forward that this league is going to be successful, and we must just continue to strengthen our relationship and also from Cricket South Africa, keep supporting the league and ensuring that the league keeps growing. all in line with obviously, try to do our utmost best for the Proteas, both formats. I know it's T20 cricket, but also for both formats, to be successful in the long run, because a very successful Proteas, I mean, we all know what it actually does to our country. So very, very well done, obviously, to, like I said, to all involved with the league. I mean, Graham Smith obviously is a commissioner, and the rest of his team. They've done a very a good job, and we'll continue obviously from our side to support them and work together to ensure the league continues to be successful.
Shooks, just on the, you were talking about positivity and your player strike rate and all of that, and you're going into your first test series. We saw a little bit in the one-day comp when you were coach. Is there a term for the way you're going to play the cricket? You're going to play your cricket, because England have a term.
Yes, this has got nothing to do with England, and there's certainly no terms as far as I'm concerned. And if there was a term, I certainly can't utter it on display. But no, look, I think if you look at the modern day world, I think, and I've mentioned this countless times, that players transition from T20 cricket into Test cricket. I think previously in years gone by, when I was still young, you played red ball and then you made your mark in the white ball space. But I think things have changed now. There's so much T20 cricket being played, and hence I always said that I don't think we ever want to, and Enox just echoed that now, we don't ever want to see the league or any T20 league as a threat rather than an ally, because it's a great format where players have now got the opportunity to go from a T20 league into a test team. We've seen it around the world. Dare I say Australia, England, but I wouldn't be surprised if the same happens in South Africa going forward.
Thanks, Ahir. And then just lastly, Johan, as we conclude the press opportunity.
My question's for Enoch. I just want to double check on the appointments of the assistant coaches and also Shukri's job at under 19s.
Thanks, Johan. So we're in the final stages. There's just a couple of things that we need to get through, and then we are looking at making those appointments in the course of next week. So nothing is confirmed yet. We'll be looking to make those announcements in the course of next week.
Okay, guys, that was the press conference. I like what I heard. Me personally, I think this was a brilliant press conference. Having Enoch there and Shooks, brilliant move. So congratulations to everybody for actually pulling that off and actually setting that up. I think that was a brilliant move to do so. I'm happy with the test squad. I'm happy with the reasons given for the players that were selected. Now that I've heard them, yes, I still feel sad for Lungi. Yes, I still feel sad for Kyle. But I'm going to be fully behind Shukri Conrad, Rob Walter, Enoch Nkwe for the future of South African cricket. I think it is brave moves, difficult moves that they had to make. And I'm very happy that we have coaches and people involved in South African cricket that are making those difficult decisions and doing what they want to do and trying to, and backing them their decisions to the end of this world. So I hope that continues. And I hope that we are going to go from strength to strength and rebuild our cricket in this country. You guys can also help us do so by becoming a Patreon. So please help us promote and grow South African cricket by becoming a Patreon today. Also, download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every single month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. Also, smash the like button, comment, and share. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your news, your regular updates, your features, your opinions, your match reports, and all of and reactions and press conference reactions as well. To everybody, to Bryce, thanks for coming on the show. To everybody that joined the show and joined in the chat, thank you to all of you for all the support. I'll see you guys again on Sunday evening, hopefully, for another daily show. Actually, a podcast show. So I hope you guys are available for that. I hope I'm going to be able to be doing that, dependable on fixtures. I'm going to be off to Newlands to get the second innings of the match between Ireland and the West Indies. I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you for joining in, and peace out, everybody. Thank you for all the support. I'll see you soon. Peace. you.